A lot of basketball over the weekend. Got basketball coming up tonight. And when you think of North Carolina, you think of a college powerhouse, but the Heels don't feel or didn't feel like a powerhouse in this tournament. They should now. The school has won 6 national titles. Try to make it 7 going against Kansas tonight. But a win tonight would match the 85 Villanova Wildcats as the lowest seed to ever win the tournament. Tar Heels are an 8th seed. But with the team's recent play, it's easy to forget that. A North Carolina win would also make Hubert Davis the first coach to win a title in his first season. And the Heels have to get through a Kansas team. This isn't a traditional Bill Self Kansas team. Don't have much depth, don't have star power there. And it's one of those, oh, by the way, here's Kansas again. North Carolina, string one more together, and this would be one of the more impressive tournament runs in history. Kansas is a slight favorite tonight, but what we saw with North Carolina, and I go back to when they beat Duke at Cameron Indoor, Coach K's last game, and it seemed like, and people got caught up in, oh, Coach K lost his last game at home to North Carolina, not really looking at Carolina going, Carolina look really good. That seemed to empower, kickstart North Carolina. Now, they didn't win the ACC tournament, but I just kept my eye on them, and I thought maybe that's the bigger story. Carolina goes into Cameron and nearly scores 100 points against Coach K and Duke. Now, we did see Duke. They lost in the ACC tournament as well. I think they lost to Virginia Tech, but they got into the tournament. They seemed to really understand the moment here, what they were trying to pull off, and that is win a national title for Coach K. Didn't happen. This is how it sounded Saturday as North Carolina closes out Duke.
Inbound comes to Keels. Keels will motor up the floor with 6 seconds. He'll launch a 3 at the top of the key. It's no good. Rebound secured by R.J. Davis. Davis will dribble it out, and the Heels kick their rivals to the curb on their way to their 12th national title game, and in the process, end the career of the Hall of Fame coach Mike Krzyzewski.
All right. That was good. Carolina hit the big shots when they needed to. It felt like Duke was exchanging 2s for Carolina's 3s, and it caught up to them. Thought it was officiated well. Would I have liked to have seen Duke go over and shake the hands of the Carolina players? It felt like, hey, they're celebrating. Let them celebrate. We'll walk off the floor. Coach K, I know, stayed on. I think there was one other Duke player who did. It just felt like social media went crazy because whether you were rooting for Carolina, it felt like there were a lot of people just rooting against Duke. People enjoyed this loss. And I go back to the embryonic stages of when ESPN fell in love with Duke and Dick Vitale fell in love with Duke. You know, you had Danny Ferry, and then you had Jay Billis was there, Mark Allery was there, Johnny Dawkins, Tommy Amaker. Then you had Leitner, Bobby Hurley, J.J. Redick, Trajan Langdon, Ala Abdul Nab, you know, all of these names, they became household names because every game was on TV, on ESPN. And ESPN put their big arms around Duke and embraced them. For 30 years, embraced Duke. So when there's this aversion to Coach K or Duke, or they got white guys there, people had this outpouring of, you're rooting against Duke. Even if you're not rooting for Carolina, you're rooting against Duke. And I don't know if you dislike them or is it the coverage that you didn't like? Because I can blame the coverage. You might say, Christian Leitner, the way he played bothered me. Okay, that's back in the early 90s. And by the way, that's one of the top 5 college players of all time. That's one of the big-time performers in the history of college basketball is Christian Leitner. Coach K, all right, his players stayed, got an education, then he went with the one and done. He's still the best college basketball coach of all time because he was able to do it if it was had to stay or you were going to stay or you were one and done. And you know, trying to compare John Wooden and Coach K, it's different. But I think Coach K had to adapt more to a changing basketball landscape than John Wooden did. So he bows out. It's a loss. But this outpouring of vitriol was pretty interesting. You know, you sprinkle in a couple of guys. Grayson Allen bothered people. There was always one or two. Who was the Duke player who transferred to Syracuse?
Greg Paulus.
Yeah, Paulus was there like 7 years.
Underrated unlikability.
Yeah. You just had these players, but they were on TV. You know, it became almost like network TV would have Friends on. Well, you knew Friends and knew the characters. We knew Duke because Duke was always on if you were watching the mothership. And ESPN did not back away from that. Everything about it. When Dickie V would be there, it felt like a partnership. And I guess the only comparison I can make is probably not a sports team, but a band. U2. Because U2 was really popular. And they were in the 80s as well, 90s. And then remember when they emailed you their album? That was their deal with Apple, I think, or they sent it to you?
It came like pre-installed in iPods and your iPhone and things like that.
So I think people are like, I didn't ask for this, but you got it. And then it felt like people turned on U2, even though that's one of the great rock bands in history. Duke, it just felt like Duke was forced down our throat. Like, who's playing tonight? It's Duke against Virginia Tech. Really, it's just Duke playing. You know, then you had Zion Williamson. They became must-see TV. If you have 31 games on national TV, it was must-see TV. And then you started to tune in, you know, when you had the moment with Leitner where he steps on Timberlake's chest in the Kentucky game, the game that Leitner hits the shot where they move on to the finals. UNLV blows them out, and then you have the rematch, and then Duke comes back and beats them. Like, it just felt like, and, you know, I was at ESPN for 18 years, and did we overdo it? Absolutely. Absolutely. Guilty as charged. It's like Yankees are playing the Red Sox. Late 90s, Yankees, Red Sox, early 2000s, going to show it. It got so bad that you would then get ready for the next Yankees-Red Sox series after that series was over. Like, well, when are they going to play again? They're going to play in 14 days. We got to start previewing that. Duke, North Carolina, when are they going to play again? I don't know. Another 6 months or 6 weeks. All right, we got to start previewing that. I get it. But through it all, to be able to watch somebody for 42 years at the same place, that's remarkable. And we have other, you know, you have Tom Izzo at Michigan State. You got Jim Boeheim. Roy Williams was at Kansas and North Carolina. But, you know, you just don't have these coaches anymore because they're in the transfer portal all the time, wanting to stay, wanting to be part of the community, wanting to be part of the university, and doing a lot of great things. And I've been fortunate to call Coach K a friend, and Jim Boeheim and Tom Izzo, friends. And I'll miss that presence on the sidelines. And, you know, the hatred of Duke is probably not going to intensify with John Shire as their head coach. Just not going to happen. But a remarkable, remarkable run. And Carolina did everything that you would want. They came up big. They hit big shots. Caleb Love was wonderful. Man, that's where you just go, who's going to take this shot? Oh, he took the shot. He hit the shot. It felt like they had an answer. And Duke hitting twos, not threes. Yeah, Paulie.
A couple of things that stand out from the North Carolina side. Roy Williams, to be able to watch that game without the pressure of coaching, I've never seen anyone look like he's had that good of a time. After the game, his arms were in the air.
Yep.
And then also on social media, people had Duke, anti-Duke T-shirts ready to go, and they let them go. The first one that was funny was Coach KO'd. You know, that was pretty funny. That was cute. But the one that made me laugh was 401k, like retirement, and a picture of Coach K. That made me laugh aloud. 401k.
That's not funny.
Stop that.
I contribute 10% a year.
Go ahead.
I don't appreciate that. Now stop it. Everybody stop for a second. This is off the script. I have to get a couple of things off my mind. That was unacceptable today.
Yeah.
That's not how not how my career was supposed to end. Unacceptable.
All right.